You walk into a glistening SUV showroom, confident you're buying quality. Yet behind the sales pitch, a hidden system ensures 80% of these vehicles are doomed from the day they are built. Since 2010, production quotas have doubled and assembly times have been cut in half. Workers are forced to cut corners for fear of losing their pay. The real story is not about what you see on the lot. It is about what is intentionally buried on the factory floor, and the consequences might already be parked in your driveway. So, how did America's favorite family vehicle become a ticking time bomb? On the factory floor, the clock is always ticking. Since 2010, automakers have demanded more from each assembly line than ever before. Production quotas did not just nudge upward, they doubled. Where workers once had 8 hours to assemble a single SUV, the stopwatch now allows only 4 hours. Every step, every bolt, every wire must fall into place at twice the previous speed. The line never slows, and the pressure to keep up is relentless. TAT time, the industry's measure of how quickly each vehicle must be completed, is now set by global demand and corporate spreadsheets. Managers track every second, knowing that the difference between profit and loss is measured in fractions of an hour. For the worker, this means less time to check a weld, align a panel, or spot a missing fastener. The margin for error shrinks as the pace accelerates. Assembly is not just about speed, it is about choreography. Hundreds of tasks, from fitting dashboards to routing wiring harnesses, must be performed in a precise order. When the tempo doubles, the smallest misstep can ripple through the entire process. A crooked door or loose sensor might not stop the line, but it is now more likely to reach the end of production unnoticed. Historical records from the industry's own TAC logs show the transformation. In 2010, a midsize SUV spent a full working day moving from bare chassis to finished product. By 2022, that same vehicle rolled out in half the time. The numbers look impressive on quarterly reports, but the reality for those on the line is a blur of motion and mounting fatigue. Each vehicle is stamped out faster, but the cost is measured in missed details and mounting warranty claims. For the assembly worker, pride in workmanship collides with the unyielding pace. There is no time for second-guessing or double-checking. Every vehicle is a race against the clock, and the finish line keeps moving closer. The showroom may promise perfection, but on the factory floor, speed has become the only rule that matters. A pay stub tells the real story of the modern assembly line. Instead of a steady wage, many workers now face a piece rate system, where every SUV they finish adds to their paycheck, but any slowdown or stoppage instantly eats into their earnings. If a worker spots a crooked panel or a loose connection, stopping the line to fix it is not just discouraged, it is punished. Their pay drops for every minute the conveyor belt is not moving. Keep the line running no matter what. A veteran assembler describes the pressure. She remembers when taking an extra minute to double-check a weld felt like a mark of pride. Now, hesitating means falling behind quota and taking home less money. Conversations on break revolve around the same calculation. Is it worth losing $20 to fix a misaligned door, or should you let it slide and hope it does not come back as a warranty claim? The answer, more often than not, is to keep pushing. The piece rate system was sold as a way to reward hard work, but on the floor, it is a trap. Workers race to finish each step, knowing that the smallest delay, whether a missing fastener or a jammed tool, can mean a smaller paycheck. The pain is not just financial. Pride in doing the job right is replaced by fear of falling behind. Management posts daily output charts in the break room, tracking who met their targets and who cost the company time. The list of names at the bottom carries an unspoken threat. Speed up, or someone else will take your place. In this environment, defects are not rare, they are built in. The system rewards speed, not care. The result is a steady stream of new SUVs rolling off the line with problems that could have been fixed, if only there were time. For the workers, every paycheck is a reminder that quality comes second to quantity, and the cost of slowing down is paid out of their own pockets. Inside the walls of every major SUV factory, the supply chain is anything but diverse. The parts that keep these vehicles moving, transmissions, electrical modules, and infotainment brains, are almost always sourced from just 2 or 3 global giants. ZF, Jatco, and Aisin supply the transmissions for millions of SUVs rolling off lines from Detroit to Tokyo. Bosch and Continental dominate the market for electronic control units, wiring harnesses, and safety modules. Instead of a web of competing vendors, what actually exists is a narrow pipeline with a handful of companies feeding every major automaker. A single contract between an automaker and a Tier 1 supplier can cover entire model lineups across several brands. That is how the same 8-speed automatic transmission ends up in both a Jeep Grand Cherokee and BMW X5. When one supplier's design has a flaw, like a faulty valve body or a glitchy control module, the defect does not stay isolated. It ripples across brands, continents, and millions of vehicles at once. The industry calls this systemic risk. For drivers, it means a single bad batch can spark recalls or repair bills on a scale never seen in the era of smaller, more competitive supplier networks. This concentration did not happen by accident. Since 2010, automakers have slashed their list of approved suppliers by as much as 30% to cut costs and streamline production. The result is that 2 or 3 companies now control up to 70% of the global market for critical SUV systems. In this environment, one supplier's mistake can become everyone's problem overnight, exposing the entire industry and every driver to the same fragile link in the chain. Underneath the glossy paint and chrome, a different kind of shortcut lurks. By the middle of the 2010s, steel and aluminum were quietly replaced in critical areas with plastic. Oil pans, once stamped from thick metal, are now molded from polymer composites. The switch saves a few pounds and a few dollars per vehicle, but it comes at a cost most buyers never see. Under heat and vibration, plastic oil pans are prone to warping and cracking. A slow leak can drain an engine dry before the warning light ever flickers on. Service bulletins from multiple brands in 2017 and 2019 document recurring failures. Dealers were told to watch for seepage and to stock extra replacement pans. Timing chain guides, another unseen but essential part, followed the same path. Older guides, made from metal or high-grade nylon, could last hundreds of thousands of miles. Today, the guides are often cheap plastic, brittle after years of heat cycling. When they fracture, the timing chain slips, and the engine can destroy itself in seconds. Repairs run into the thousands, but failures rarely occur within the warranty window. Cooling systems have also been re-engineered for cost. Instead of separate radiators and transmission coolers, many SUVs now use a single integrated unit. The logic is simple: fewer parts, faster assembly, lower expense. But when one side of these combo coolers fails, coolant and transmission fluid mix. The result is catastrophic. Transmissions are ruined, engines overheat, and repairs can exceed the value of the vehicle. These design choices are not accidents or oversights. They are the product of a manufacturing culture that prizes speed and savings above all else, leaving owners to face the consequences long after the showroom glow fades. A row of identical engines sits on the bench, each one smaller than the last. Gone are the big, naturally aspirated V6 engines. Today, nearly every new SUV relies on a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. The promise is clear: more power, less fuel, lower emissions. But in the hands of independent technicians, the reality looks different. These downsized turbos are pushed to their limits, running hotter and harder than their predecessors ever did. A veteran mechanic slides a scorched turbocharger across the counter. He has seen the pattern too many times. Engines run fine for the first few years, then start burning oil, losing boost, or rattling under load. Most failures cluster between 80,000 to 120,000 miles, just after most warranties expire. The culprit is almost always heat. Smaller engines have to work harder to move the same heavy SUVs, spinning their turbos at extreme speeds. Over time, high exhaust temperatures cook the oil, break down seals, and warp bearings. Even the best synthetic oil cannot always keep up. Manufacturers tout advanced cooling and precision balancing, but the technician points to a shelf lined with failed units from every major brand. It is not neglect. These are vehicles with regular service records, driven by careful owners. The problem is baked in from the start: too much stress, not enough margin. When these turbos let go, the repair bill can reach thousands of dollars, often more than the vehicle's trade-in value. For owners, it is a sudden expensive surprise that arrives just as the last payment clears. The factory shortcut becomes the driver's burden, and the cycle repeats with every new model year. A modern SUV is not just an engine and four wheels, it is a rolling network of computers. Under the dashboard, inside the doors, and tucked behind the bumper, up to 100 electronic control units called modules manage everything from the headlights to the seat heaters. Each module is designed for a specific purpose, but together they create a tangled web of dependencies. When one fails, it is rarely a simple fix. A single malfunctioning module can disable entire systems. Windows stop working, the climate control freezes, or the power liftgate locks shut. Repair costs reflect this complexity. Service invoices show that replacing just one failed module can run upwards of $3,000, even for basic functions like power steering or airbag deployment. These are not rare, exotic failures. They are regular line items at dealership service counters. Diagnostic technicians now spend hours tracing faults through layers of wiring and software, often relying on proprietary scan tools that only the dealer owns. If the scan tool cannot communicate with a module, the only solution is replacement, not repair. As the number of modules climbs, so does the risk. Each new feature, automatic wipers, adaptive headlights, wireless charging, adds another point of failure. For owners, this means a growing list of expensive surprises, where a single electronic glitch can turn a drivable SUV into a stranded asset. The promise of high-tech convenience comes with a hidden price measured in dollars and downtime. A driver presses the ignition button, but nothing happens. The touchscreen, once the heart of the dashboard, sits black and unresponsive. 5 years ago, this sport utility vehicle promised cutting-edge connectivity and seamless control. Now the climate system, radio, and even the backup camera are locked behind a dead screen. The owner flips through the manual searching for a reset, but the answer is not there. The manufacturer's website offers no relief. Software support ended last year. No more updates, no replacement parts, no fix. The only option is a full module swap at a cost that rivals the value of the vehicle itself. This story is not rare. Touchscreen systems in modern sport utility vehicles are designed with a built-in expiration date. Automakers guarantee software updates for 5, maybe 7 years. After that, the system is orphaned. Owners are left with vehicles that look new but function like relics. Climate controls, safety features, and navigation are all routed through a single fragile interface now frozen in time. The car still drives, but every day more features slip away. A perfectly good engine and transmission mean nothing if the electronics that run them cannot be revived. The countdown starts the moment the vehicle leaves the lot, and for many the end comes far sooner than expected. A wiring harness runs through every modern SUV like a nervous system, carrying power and data to hundreds of points. Until a few years ago, these harnesses used pure copper, flexible, highly conductive, and reliable over decades. But in 2018, most major manufacturers quietly switched to copper-clad aluminum. On paper, the change cut costs by nearly a third and shaved a few pounds from every vehicle. In practice, it introduced a new breed of electrical problems that technicians now call phantom gremlins. A diagnostic specialist clips a voltmeter to a battery terminal and watches the numbers drift. The vehicle is parked, everything switched off, yet the battery drains overnight. Owners report dead batteries, flickering lights, and warning chimes that come and go without reason. The root cause is almost invisible: copper-clad aluminum wire prone to micro cracks and corrosion where it bends or meets a connector. Unlike pure copper, these wires develop resistance at the joint, creating heat and unpredictable voltage drops. Conductivity tests reveal the difference. A short run of copper wire carries current with almost no loss, while the same length of copper-clad aluminum wire reads higher resistance, especially after a few seasons of road salt and moisture. By 2020, warranty claims for unexplained electrical issues spiked, with service bulletins quietly advising dealers to check for corrosion, but rarely authorizing full harness replacement. For owners, the symptoms are maddening: Random dead batteries, sensors failing without warning, and repairs that often miss the underlying cause. The switch to copper-clad aluminum was meant to save money, but it left millions of SUVs with a hidden weakness that resists easy diagnosis and repair. A transmission rebuilder wheels a battered CVT core onto his workbench. The casing is still slick from a recent teardown, the label showing a model year barely out of warranty. He points to the scorched belt and worn pulleys, classic signs of a failure that have become common in modern SUVs. Continuously variable transmissions, known as CVTs, were promised as a leap forward in efficiency and smoothness. In practice, they have turned into a financial minefield for owners. Invoices from independent shops tell the story in blunt numbers: $5,000 to $8,000 for a full replacement, with no guarantee the new unit will last any longer. The parts themselves, belts, pulleys, and valve bodies, are often single-sourced from giant suppliers like Jotco. When a design flaw slips through, it does not just affect one brand or a handful of vehicles. It ripples across millions, from Nissan Rogues to Honda CR-Vs and Subaru Outbacks. The rebuilder flips through a stack of service records. Most failures cluster under 100,000 miles, well before the vehicle's first decade on the road. For many families, the CVT repair bill lands just as the last loan payment clears. There is no fix or upgrade, just a costly swap, and then hope. Despite years of complaints and soaring warranty costs, manufacturers keep installing CVTs, betting that most failures will fall outside the warranty window. For owners, it is a gamble with thousands of dollars on the line, and the odds are not in their favor. A technician slides a wiring diagram across the workbench, tracing the maze of gears and solenoids that make up the latest generation of automatic transmissions. The promise was simple: more gears, better fuel economy, smoother shifts. But the reality inside millions of new SUVs is far more complicated. 8-speed, 9-speed, and even 10-speed automatics now fill the market, each one packed with intricate valve bodies, clutch packs, and electronic controls. The complexity is staggering. For every added gear, there is another layer of parts that can fail, and a single cracked seal or faulty solenoid can cripple the whole system. Service bulletins from Jeep, Ford, and GM document a steady stream of complaints, shuttering, hard shifting, and abrupt failures. Over 2 million vehicles are affected, with owners facing repair bills that often top $5,000. The ZF 8-speed, once hailed as a breakthrough, is now flagged in dealership trade in systems for its high failure rate. A Jeep Grand Cherokee equipped with this transmission can be worth thousands less on a dealer's lot, simply because the failure is now baked into the price. There is a lesson in the past, too. Ford's PowerShift dual-clutch transmission, installed in 1.5 million Focus and Fiesta models, became a cautionary tale. Owners endured years of jerky driving and repeated breakdowns while Ford quietly phased out the technology. Lawsuits followed, but for many the damage was already done. The PowerShift debacle proved that complexity, when paired with cost-cutting, can haunt both drivers and brands for years. Today's multi-speed automatics carry that same risk, hidden behind the promise of progress. A warning light flickers on the dashboard, and the owner's heart sinks. In today's SUVs, safety sensors are everywhere, tucked behind bumpers, hidden in mirrors, and embedded in windshields. Blind spot monitors, lane departure warnings, and adaptive cruise control all depend on a network of delicate electronics. When even one sensor fails, the repair bill can land like a punch, $800 to $2,000 for a single replacement. And these are not rare events. Water seeps past seals, road debris strikes the smallest opening, and the sensors, never designed for years of real-world abuse, give up the ghost. For the driver, what started as a minor accident or a stray pebble can turn into a financial crisis. But the real shock comes during what should be a routine fix. Replacing a cracked windshield used to mean a simple $300 job at any glass shop. Now, with advanced driver assistance systems, the bill often rockets past $1,500. That is because every camera and radar unit must be recalibrated, a process only certified dealerships are equipped to handle. Independent shops are locked out by proprietary tools and software, turning a basic repair into a dealership monopoly. There is no shopping around, no second opinion, just a captive customer and a non-negotiable invoice. For owners, the expense is not just a nuisance. It is a forced compromise between safety and affordability. Some skip repairs, driving with disabled features and warning lights aglow. Others drain savings to keep their vehicles compliant. The promise of high-tech protection morphs into a costly trap, with every sensor failure turning safety itself into a luxury few can truly afford. 67 million vehicles in the United States were swept up in the Takata airbag recall. The numbers are staggering, but the human cost is worse. Defective inflators packed with unstable ammonium nitrate sat hidden in dashboards for years. Under heat and humidity, these airbags could explode with deadly force, sending metal fragments through the cabin. Drivers and passengers were left vulnerable to injuries and, in some cases, death, often in accidents that should have been survivable. Federal records show the recall stretched on for over a decade. Even as automakers and regulators urged owners to seek repairs, progress stalled. By 2021, millions of sport utility vehicles still carried the risk, their replacement parts delayed by shortages and manufacturing backlogs. For many families, the letter warning of a lethal airbag became a fixture in the glove box, a problem with no immediate solution. A consumer safety advocate points to the failure of oversight. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration published recall notices and tracked compliance, but lacked the authority to force automakers to speed up repairs or provide loaner vehicles. Manufacturers, facing the largest recall in American history, struggled to source enough safe replacements. The result is a patchwork of half-completed fixes and millions of unrepaired vehicles still on the road. The Takata crisis stands as a warning. When cost-cutting and regulatory blind spots collide, the fallout lands on ordinary drivers, people who trusted their vehicles to keep them safe. The legacy of this recall is not just a number, it is a question of who is left unprotected when the system fails. A denial letter arrives in the mail, stamped with the manufacturer's logo and a wall of legal language. The owner who bought a $60,000 SUV with the promise of a comprehensive powertrain warranty reads the fine print. The claim has been denied. The reason is a single missing oil change receipt from 2 years ago. The manufacturer's policy requires proof for every scheduled service interval, and missing one proof can void the entire warranty. It does not matter if the engine failure is unrelated. The burden of proof always falls on the owner, and any gap in the paperwork becomes the company's shield. A consumer attorney lays out the pattern. Denial letters cite technicalities, not mechanical evidence. Owners are left scrambling to reconstruct years of service history, hoping a misplaced invoice will not cost them thousands. Even when a defect is widespread, manufacturers rarely issue recalls. Instead, they offer goodwill repairs, conditional fixes that come with a catch. To get the repair, customers must sign a waiver trading away the right to join any future class action lawsuit. The fix is temporary, the legal protection is permanent. Thousands take the deal, not realizing they are giving up the only real leverage they have. For many, the process feels like a maze designed to trap them. The company's legal team holds all the cards, and the owner's only recourse is paperwork. When the system fails, it is not just a mechanical breakdown. It is the quiet collapse of trust, written in the language of fine print and lost receipts. A frustrated owner sits across from a lemon law attorney, paperwork stacked high. The rules sound simple. 3 or 4 repair attempts for the same defect, and the vehicle qualifies as a lemon. But service records tell a different story. Each time the SUV goes in for a malfunctioning transmission or a glitchy infotainment system, the dealer claims to fix the problem. The warning light disappears, the car drives out, and the clock resets. Days or weeks later, the issue returns and the process starts over again. Temporary software patches, quick part swaps, and vague explanations fill the repair logs. The attorney points to the pattern. Dealers rarely document the same failure in consecutive visits. Each repair is logged as a new issue or a different symptom, making it nearly impossible to reach the required threshold for lemon law protection. Owners describe the cycle as a game they cannot win. The law demands proof of repeated identical failures, but the service department's paperwork always muddies the trail. Even when the defect is obvious, a stalling engine or a dead screen, the records show a parade of minor adjustments, never the same fix twice. For most, the only way out is to accept a trade-in at a steep loss, or keep fighting as the repair attempts mount. The system is built on procedure, not resolution. Every temporary fix buys the dealer more time, and every reset of the counter leaves the owner trapped with a vehicle that never truly gets better. 5 years after rolling off the lot, a $50,000 SUV often fetches just $15,000 to $20,000 on the used market. That is not a normal curve. It is a cliff. Auction data from Manheim and Cox Automotive show the pattern across every brand tied to reliability trouble. The drop is not just about miles or age, it is about risk. Dealers know which models are likely to come back with transmission failures or dead electronics. Their pricing software flags the worst offenders instantly. A used car manager sits in front of his screen, reviewing trade-in offers. The system auto-deducts $5,000 or more for a Jeep Grand Cherokee with the ZF 8-speed transmission. It is not personal, it is the algorithm. The same vehicle identification number, the same options, but the wrong transmission code, and the value sinks. For owners, the shock is immediate. Families who thought they were building equity discover their SUV has lost 2/3 of its value, sometimes before the loan is even paid off. The reason is baked into the market. Everyone downstream knows about the failures. Wholesale buyers, auctioneers, and finance companies all adjust for the risk. The result is a cycle where reliability problems drain wealth from ordinary buyers. What looks like a smart investment at the dealership turns into a financial trap at trade-in time. The consequences ripple through the family budgets, leaving owners with little to show for years of payments and maintenance. Some SUVs still deserve a spot in your driveway, but finding them means ignoring the hype and focusing on what holds up under real-world use. Reliability data from consumer reports and owner surveys point to a handful of models that consistently avoid the pitfalls plaguing most new SUVs. Toyota and Lexus, especially those with naturally aspirated engines, top nearly every long-term reliability ranking. These vehicles skip turbochargers and complex gearboxes that sink their rivals, sticking with proven designs that run for hundreds of thousands of miles. Honda's reputation took a hit with CVT-equipped models, but specific versions like the Pilot with a 6-speed automatic have sidestepped the worst transmission failures. For domestic brands, the sweet spot is 2010 to 2014 model years. These SUVs were built before supplier consolidation and the wave of cost-cutting that brought in fragile electronics and turbocharged engines. Models like the 2014 Toyota 4Runner, the 2013 Chevrolet Tahoe with the 5.3-liter V8, and the 2012 Honda Pilot have long service lives and manageable repair costs. Beyond the usual suspects, the 25-year import rule opens a door to options most buyers overlook. Japanese market Toyota Land Cruisers, Mitsubishi Pajeros, and Nissan Patrols are now legal to import and register. These vehicles were engineered for commercial durability, not just showroom appeal. Many arrive with low miles and maintenance histories that put newer SUVs to shame, often selling for half or even a third of the price of a new domestic model. For buyers willing to look beyond the dealership lot, these imports offer bulletproof mechanicals and a track record of reliability that modern SUVs rarely match. The key is knowing what to look for: traditional engine and transmission setups, minimal electronics, and a history of proven service. In a market flooded with disposable vehicles, these choices stand out as the rare investments that actually last. Right now, the average new SUV loses up to 70% of its value within 5 years. This is an engineered outcome, not an accident. As supplier consolidation and cost-cutting deepen, reliability slips further from reach. The next model year promises flashier technology, but the foundations remain fragile. In an industry shaped by secrecy and planned obsolescence, the only real warranty is informed skepticism. The road ahead belongs to those who ask harder questions. Share your thoughts below.